something as simple as Black Lives Matter. Yeah. What's the fucking point of contention?
Y'all got the same demeanor, man. Both y'all's faces look evil. He look like he could be your twin brother.
No, we got that serious look to us.
Yeah, man, y'all look serious, man. Like y'all gonna hurt somebody.
But anyway, Terry Crews, he went on Don Lemon's show the other night.
Yeah.
He had to defend some tweets.
Yeah.
His tweets upsetted people, man. Offended people.
Yeah.
What you can't do in 2020. Your tweet can't offend nobody.
Yeah. That's crazy, right?
When what felt like a new atrocity to some people, but was happening over and over again for African Americans, and for this to happen in this time for the whole world to see what we've been saying for hundreds of years.
Yes.
All right, let me put up the first tweet.
Yeah, man.
If you are a child of God, you are my brother and sister.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I have family of every race, creed, and ideology.
Oh, man, that's good.
We must ensure Black Lives Matter doesn't morph into Black Lives Better.
Terry, man, that was beautiful, man. That sound like Dr. Martin Luther King, man.
Yeah?
We should call Terry Crews Dr. Reverend Terry Crews. That was beautiful, man.
There are a lot of people who make assumptions about you, about the ways that you would be engaging right now. And they may even say, like, you're so removed from this, you're not worried when you're pulled over by the police. That's not your experience.
Please.
So I want you to talk about that. Like, what are some of the misconceptions about how you're experiencing this? Because I do think it's false, but I want people to hear from you.
Well, I grew up in Philadelphia.
West Philadelphia, born and raised.
Born and raised, yeah. I grew up under, Mayor Rizzo. You know, he went from the chief of police to becoming the mayor, and he had an iron hand. I've been called nigger by the cops in Philly on more than 10 occasions, right? You know, I got stopped frequently. So I understand what it's like, to be in those circumstances with the police, to feel like you've been occupied. It's an occupying force.
No matter what your race, ideology, that means liberal or conservative, black or white, we are all brothers.
Yeah, we're in this together.
How would that upset anybody?
Let me read the second tweet.
Oh, I know how they got upset.
What?
Black Lives Matter, man. They kind of sensitive, man.
Yeah, they real sensitive. All right, let me read the second tweet. Are all white people bad? No.
That's true.
Are all black people good?
Hell no.
Look, knowing this reality, I stand on my decision to unite with good people.
Oh, man.
Yeah. No matter the race, creed, or ideology. Given the number of threats against this decision, I also decide to die on this hill.
Man. Terry, my brother, I will die with you, my friend. I will go on that hill with you.
Ain't nobody trying to die. That was a metaphor. You crazy? That was a metaphor.
White kids were happy when the cops showed up, and my heart always started pounding. There's a part of this that people who don't grow up in that you just can't comprehend.
When I describe this, when you look in the city of Chicago, there are 9 children who died by gun violence, by black-on-black gun violence, from June 20th all the way to today. And you're talking about, even with the Atlanta child murders, there were 28 kids who died in 2 years. You're talking about a month, and you have 9 black kids, and the Black Lives Matter movement has said nothing about this.
What does that
kind of
have
thing.
to do with equality, though, Terry? I don't understand what that has to do with equality, because listen, there's crime. There are people in those communities those people aren't just being nonchalant about about gun violence. I lived in Chicago. There are many people who are working in those communities to try to get rid of the gun violence. The gun culture in this country is prevalent, but I don't understand what that has to do with a movement that's for equality for black people. It's not mutually exclusive that if you care about equality for black people, that somehow you're going to stop random violence or, unfortunately, kids from being shot. It just seems like apples and oranges.
You just can't comprehend what it feels like to feel like you live in an occupied territory. For me, that was the first part, and the second part was I got 2 black sons driving around. So when I saw this cop with his hands in his pockets, I'm like, what is going on inside of a person's mind to just be able to do that to another person, right? For me, it comes down to, after you get beyond the rage. Rage is justified under oppression. It also can be really dangerous. You got to be careful not to be consumed by your own rage.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've worked really hard on. And what I loved about the peaceful protest, it's like peaceful protest.
Get out of the way! Hey! Keep that going. Rubber bullets!
Not that way. This is the thing, Don. Black people need to hold other black people accountable. I said this the same thing. This is the Black America's version of the Me Too movement. If anything is going to change, we ourselves need to look at our own communities and look at each other and say, this thing cannot go down. And this is the thing, too. There are a lot of great, great people there who are held hostage, by people who literally are running these neighborhoods with violence and then claiming that Black Lives Matter. When you look at the parents of these little kids who are saying, hey, man, why aren't they speaking up for me, too? And this is what I'm saying. When I look at this whole thing about, it's about who is controlling the narrative. It's got to be all Black Lives Matter. And what's happened is that because I even challenged it, because I even questioned and warned people,
Terry,
I became like if I told you to wear a mask,
but Terry,
they want to kick you out.
You're a high-profile person. You're writing things out there. You're going to get backlash. People are going to respond to what you're saying on Twitter. So I don't think you should be surprised by that. I have a skin as tough as an armadillo because of what I do, and I think maybe you should adapt that. But here's what I have to say. The Black Lives Matter movement was started because it was talking about police brutality. If you want an all Black Lives Matter movement that talks about gun violence in communities, including, black communities, then start that movement with that name. But that's not what Black Lives Matter is about. It's not an all-encompassing. So if you're talking about, if someone started a movement that said, cancer matters, and then someone comes in and says, why aren't you talking about HIV? It's not the same thing. We're talking about cancer. So the Black Lives Matter movement is about police brutality and injustice in that manner, not about what's happening in black neighborhoods. There are people who are working on that issue, and if you want to start that issue, why don't you start it? Do you understand what I'm saying?
But when you look at the organization, police brutality is not the only thing they're talking about.
I know that. I agree, but that's not what the Black Lives Matter movement is about, Terry. Black Lives Matter is about police brutality and about criminal justice. It's not about what happens in communities when it comes to crime, black on black crime. People who live near each other, black people, kill each other. Same as whites. 80-some% of white people are killed by white people. True. Because of proximity.
Very true.
It's the same thing with black people. That happens in every single neighborhood. But that doesn't, again, I'm not saying that's not important that those kids died, but it's a different movement.
Hey, Don. Hold up, Don. You're a journalist. If you're going to ask a question,
I think you're supposed to let him answer. Yeah, just when he get to explaining himself, you see it going in a direction you don't want it to go, you cut him off. You know what that's called, Don? It's called oppression.